I got the button right. I got one button right. We're 1 for 1.
What stadium is that in the background?
What? Oh, on the intro?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like I don't know. Well, the one on our screen's the THNO Stadium. That should be obvious. I don't know. Something.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know. It's something.
Sometimes you have these Ryanisms, like there's like all this deep meaning to all of the stuff that you put in there, and then sometimes you have no idea what anybody's talking about. So
this one I have no clue. I don't know where it's coming from. So it was just in Canva. So that's all that really matters. So it was free. That's what I'm operating. The free budget. Welcome to That Helps No One FantasyCast on Area 51 Sports Network. We're recapping Week 6, folks. They've played 6 weeks of official NFL football, and it feels like one. And yet, I mean, we're getting to the trade deadline at some point soon. Well, not right away, but soon enough. Clearly, because it happened all today, basically. I'd like to welcome to the show. We got Sicky Steve. How you doing, Steve? Thumbs up. That means he's sick.
Better than yesterday.
Hey, that's a win. We got. Is that like smoke in the background, Matt, or do you just have bad lighting?
It's my laptop camera.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is good. So, folks, if you want the show to succeed and you want
no difference at all. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
You changed it? No, not at all.
Yeah, close your eyes. Nope, it's the same.
Do you have any Windex back there, Matt? We could just clean the camera lens. Does Matt F Photography sponsor a little bit of Windex for camera cleaning?
Ooh. Oh, I like this.
A cool filter.
I love it. We're gonna get. Is it a Canon? Is that Canon or Nikon?
It's Canon.
Canon. We should get Canon to sponsor the show.
That'd be great.
That would be great. Actually, might even get you a better webcam.
Thank you.
That's how you're gonna make all the money in your OnlyFans. You're gonna need a better webcam. Everybody complains still. So
yeah, it needs to be so high def they get the hairs on your toes.
I got like 8 on my big toe. So
for all the time that your big toe makes it onto the screen.
That's the one where it makes all the money.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. That and the pinky. People are weird. And Ted, welcome back. Good to see you, man. Consecutive weeks on the show.
Yeah, I guess so, eh? Look at us go.
You get the California Golden Bears on your hat?
Ooh, good for you. I was wondering if anybody would get that because it's orange and not
it's actually not just like isn't it just like the California State Bear on there? Or is it California Golden Bear?
It's a Cal.
Cal. That's cool. That was right. It's good, yeah. Close enough. Speaking of college football, I was watching I don't know if you guys were watching this before the show. Troy and Southern Alabama. Absolute barn burner. I don't even know if they're Div 2, but it was on TSN, so it counts for something. It was bad. It was like 1 billion field goals and a lot of interceptions. There's a reason. It must have been. And it's on a Tuesday that they're showing live college football, so you know they're not that good. They're filling space till Saturday.
Yeah. A couple of weeks back, they had Washington State and San Diego. It was pretty fun one, yeah.
Nice. Troy probably playing Troy due to Kamani Vidal's breakout game as a former Troy Trojan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Deep cut. Wow. Deep cut.
Things you learned today.
Good pull.
Wow. Folks, if you didn't know, Matt is the smartest guy on the show. And if you'd like to ask him a question, feel free to join the chat. We're live. Yeah, we can do that. And then also make sure to follow our socials. There's not a lot of them because it's me that's running them all. So I only have so much time, and I run like a bunch of other shows too. I got my own. I have my own OnlyFans foot account. So, Big Toe Joe at Big Toe Joe. That's my alias. So
THN toe.
Yeah.
More of a middle toe guy.
Oh, hey. People like what they like. Let's get into NFL stuff. Do you guys want to talk about Mark Andrews sighting first? I was joking with Steve on the weekend. I was up at the lake watching that game, and until he made that touchdown catch, my text didn't go through in time, but I said, I just saw Mark Andrews. His biggest contribution today was patting Nelson Aguilar on the back after a big catch. And then like 2 plays later, he got a touchdown. I'm like, I take it back.
I don't know why it just always happens like that, right? It's kind of like when you're in the middle of like, I don't know, playoffs for fantasy football, and you're like, should I smack talk the other guy, or should I just not piss the karma gods off? And usually I'll wait until after before I'm a little belligerent.
Yeah, it feels like that in fantasy football too. You'll have a guy that's been sitting on your bench. You've been waiting for him to break out. You didn't start him. He breaks out. So you start him the next week and he puts up a donut. So the rule is like your guy hits his breakout. You wait 1+ week before you start him again.
Yeah.
It's just always the way she goes.
I'd be interested to know like if there's some science behind that. Because like, what about
there's betting in Vegas works the same way. Why not?
I suppose yes. It's probably the same thing.
There's at least science to how people start fantasy football rosters. Like they've actually like included this as a science discipline. You're like, no, it's scientific. You're like, no, it's just idiots starting or not starting people. Like,
So Steve, you're a teacher. You should get like one of your students like as their college thing. Like, put this in your back burner. This is going to be your thesis.
Yeah.
And when you graduate with honors, you come back. Yeah. When you come back, you remember that I taught you this. So
Is Mark Andrews
science football?
Is Mark Andrews back, or did he just have a couple catches? Because I'm looking, he only had 4 targets.
I mean, 4 targets on a team that runs the ball 50+% of the time is not a bad target share. Not saying that it's a good target share, and I've been all over target share. It kind of depends what you're looking for. The good news is he's getting lots of looks in the red zone, which if you're a tight end owner, you just always want the scores. Back-to-back weeks, he's got 5 and 4 targets. So it's looking like a consistent pattern. It seems like Lamar is just distributing the ball now to people who are getting open, which is what he should be doing instead of force feeding it.
yeah.
And so, yeah, like you saw week 1, it was like force feed or likely force feed to likely. Still is going to force feed it to Zay because he's that good. But you saw Rashad Bateman get involved. You saw Nelson Aguilar had a big catch in there that Ryan was alluding to. I think he's back, but I would temper expectations that he's going to put up, 70 and a touchdown consistently. But I think he's probably back for a safe floor of around 6 points, which in the tight end world, like that's not a bad week.
Well, it's either 60 yards or a red zone TD. So take either,
right.
Really.
You're kind of just hoping on something like that. And for me, like, I started Dallas Goedert in 2 leagues. I lost both leagues because he got me a 0. I had Cole Kmet sitting on the bench in 2 of those leagues. He went off. I had Mark Andrews and Cole Kmet in the 1 league. So the tight end game is just it's just a crapshoot, like we always say. So like when someone dropped Mark Andrews a week or 2 weeks ago, I think, I picked him up right away. It doesn't hurt. He's got all pro potential. And at the very least, if he's getting me 6 points or even 5 points in that tight end spot, at least I'm not getting bagel boys out of the tight end spot.
So that Ravens, I don't know if the other 2 of you guys watched that game. I watched also with Steve from different parts of the province, and I was back and forth with him a little bit. Like Steve, like you're saying, they were distributing the ball a ton. Like Rashad Bateman got like a billion looks in that game. Like they just kept him moving, and then as soon as they needed to, they're like, all right, well, it looks like they're going to pass. And they went Derrick Henry for a bit. Then they went, likely kind of involved. And then Lamar himself went off for like 40 yards rushing. So there's so many, and we've said this ad nauseum, but there's so many weapons right now that are working on that team. So, I mean, it's not quite a lottery ticket to, think like, is Mark Andrews back? Like if you have any doubt in him, and Steve went and picked him up, like if you have doubts in him, like he's on a team that his odds are pretty good that he's going to get either a red zone score, or if they get, if they start reading on like Derrick Henry or something, like, well, guess what? Mark Andrews has proven he's going to catch the ball as well as anybody else. And I mean, if there's 5 targets right now going in that offense, like, I mean, you're gonna hit on at least that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's at least 50 yards a game just because they're just rolling right now. Now they have Tampa this week, but
you know, something that they're doing that's kind of going unnoticed. And it, you know, when Lamar does stuff like this, they kind of look over it because it's not his traditional way of leading a team to victory. You know, usually he's around 2.25, 250 passing and, 100, 150 rushing. That's kind of like his iconic games, so to speak. He's put it back-to-back weeks of over 300 yards, and he's doing it so quietly. Like, I think he had less than 30 attempts against the Commanders. I'd have to check on that. And they're still running the ball for like 200 to 300 yards. So like they're run heavy, but also at the same point, they're he's throwing for more yards than he's ever thrown in his career. And it's because they've been starting all of their drives at like the 5-yard line, the 8-yard line, and they're getting like 90, 80-yard scores. So like, I think that's the evolution of this offense. And Mark Andrews has a big play in this because they're finally allowing Lamar to kind of read the defense. And he has so much control at the line of scrimmage this year that he sees something and he's like, okay, I know my guy Mark is going to be open on this route. I don't have to chuck it 50 yards every time when I'm backed up deep. You give me 7 yards, I'm taking 7 yards. You give me 15 yards, I'm taking 15 yards. I don't care if it's Aguilar. I don't care if it's Zay. I just want to get the yards because we're going to drive down the field and score it. And it's been a lot of fun to watch that portion of Ravens football.
It almost looks like they're finishing drives with him. Like, you don't even have to like, listen, man, on the next 4 plays, this is when we're going to get you. But the first 4 plays, this is who we're going to use. So you don't know when you're going to get that next guy mixed in. And by then you're like, all right, Bateman just did this. Zay was just going off. And like, oh, shoot. Yeah, Mark Andrews is still catching balls and he's finishing the drive, either him or Henry or Lamar. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind watching that next week and just kind of seeing how they're using him like on the tail end of a drive. But anyway, we could talk about the awesome Ravens all we want. That would make Steve very happy. Let's talk about trade deadline day, or Tuesday in the NFL, as we've come to know it. Devontae Adams has gone to the Aaron Rodgers Jets, which is great for Aaron Rodgers because that just means Al Lazard is going to be that much more available because everybody's going to assume it's going to Devontae Adams. So thanks for coming to New York. Amari Cooper went to the Bills. Ted, you were saying something about Instagram with Amari?
Oh, Amari made his post today when he got traded. Rust or move, or move or rust, sorry, which I think is just like, wow. Makes perfect sense to me. I'm glad he's out of there. A guy that good, consummate professional, like pro of pros. It's just been an absolute waste watching him this year with Deshaun. So I'm just stoked to see him off to a good team, maybe get some playoff run time in there and see what he does with Allen.
Well, it's nice because now we were joking that they have one receiver now. I mean, I think Dalton Kincaid's pretty good, but I guess you have to have more than one guy that is no longer Stefan Diggs. So
one guy, at least, like,
is he the most underrated star receiver in the last 7-8 years? Like, I know when he broke out, he was like, the dude, but that lasted like 2 years. And then he kind of just continues to make these obscene toe tap catches and quietly puts together, 7-8 touchdown seasons with pretty bad quarterbacking for the most part, and new offenses and new coordinators and.
I would say so. And I say, like, I think a large part of it is like the way he goes about his business. Like, last year was his most productive year by receiving yardage that he's had in his whole career. And it's nothing about him screams speed. He's like a fast enough guy, but a guy that's like also pretty big, and he's a thicker receiver, but yet he runs these perfect routes. And like watching him these last couple of years just absolutely dismantle corners who are twice as athletic as he is, going inside out. I mean, imagine what this guy could have done with quality quarterbacks over the course of his career, and what he did with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, when was the Amari Cooper game last year? Was it last year?
It was last year. Yeah.
I'm trying to get him from Kyle, who we talked about last week, from the Dr. Pepper guy. So I'll let you guys know how that goes.
So that was week 16 at Houston.
I made a trade at the start of the year. I traded what's his face? So I can't
Yeah,
remember his name.
he's so good.
Tennessee Titans running back. Why can't I remember his name?
Derrick Henry.
No,
Jeremy McNichols.
No, not Mick Nichols.
All
Anyways, I traded him for Jerome Ford and then instantly flipped Ford for Cooper
Lendell White.
in Kyle's lead, actually. So now I'm sitting on Cooper, who's going to Buffalo and really could be sitting pretty, finally getting my extra receiver.
Did you know that Amari Cooper's actually leading the league in drops this year?
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Actually?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Although I'm curious to know if they're like 3 feet behind him and he has to stop momentum. Have they just been bad?
No, they were bad drops, like hit him in the numbers drops, like just completely uncared. Like, he's dropped 2 in the end zone in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Maybe it's self-sabotage. Maybe he
No,
did it on purpose.
And I think they've talked about it since Deshaun has come to Cleveland, that the receivers have a hard time picking up his ball for whatever reason. I know there's been talk about more saying the same thing, but yeah, it's just weird. David Njoku can't seem to connect with them. It's a very strange thing for sure.
It's that ultrasound goo all over his hands from the Zio.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Wow. Great job.
The other thing about Amari Cooper that kind of goes, I mean, Matt is right. If he's not the most underappreciated wide receiver, he's got to be in the top 3. 7 1,000-yard seasons over his 10-year career with, like you said, terrible quarterbacking, 3 different teams. The year that he played the least amount of games was 14 out of 16 games. So, like, talk about a durable guy. Like, played in 16, 16, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 15. Then it turned to 17. So 17, 15, and he's already played all 6. Like, not only is he a number 1, and not only is he like a consummate professional, and not only can he like just open games up at any point, he's always on the field for you. Like, that's so rare in today's NFL that you like your least healthy season was missing 2 games. Insane. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, and not your typical receiver, prima donna receiver either, right? Like, just quietly goes about his business. Reminds me of Barry Sanders. You just score and be done with it and walk up, get ready, next play.
Yeah. He was a running back.
Doing his job.
Barry Sanders was a running back.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You did it.
I know. You did it. And then Devontae Adams, he gets injected into the Jets offense. So hopefully they just put like a big ivermectin sign on Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be tossing the ball all the time.
Nice.
It's going to be I know. It's not as funny as what you said.
If you have to pick up one person out of Vegas, like if we're just talking fantasy football, is there any good option in Vegas left?
Madison.
Madison, Jacoby
Madison.
Alex Madison. You are still on the Alex Madison train.
Madison's the only guy there that's running hard, that's playing hard on offense. And if you have to pick somebody, because you asked me, is there a guy worth picking? He's the only guy on that roster. It's Alexander Madison. Not a super talented back, not a fast back, but he's going to get force fed the ball, and he's the only guy that's working hard out there, it seems.
The only problem is he hasn't really been force fed the ball yet.
He's gonna be.
Like, maybe that's the good play here, is that they know that they have like nobody. Maybe Brock Bowers turns into a 2,000-yard tight end receiver just because they have to throw the ball to somebody. But yeah, maybe Madison, they're going to be like, you know what, we got to run you like the Ravens are running Derrick Henry here because we got nothing else going for us.
Yeah,
I think Madison needs a chance. He just needs a chance because he was running a complimentary role to Dalvin Cook, but he looked very good. He looked like a starting running back for 2 years, and then gets that opportunity and it was taken away within like a quarter.
Yeah, so he's got 56 and 68% of the snap share. The last 2 games, 15 and 14 touches respectively, and then 3 and 5 targets respectively. So everything's going up.
Yeah,
I think it's just a matter of time before he starts just taking it over. How huge are the numbers going to be? I don't know, but this is probably a guy that's worth having on your roster.
Speaking of Christian Michael, Cam Akers got traded to the Vikings today. I'm talking about running backs we're trying to keep relevant.
You still may remember that name person, Ryan.
Which one? Cam Akers or or Chris and Michael. Take your pick. You can reuse them if you like. I don't think anyone's going to notice. Yeah, so he went to the Vikings. So congrats, Matt. You have a guy that is going to be on the Vikings.
Yeah, I would have liked somebody else, but Aaron Jones has had some injury problems, and Ty Chandler sucks. So you got to bring somebody in to be there if you need it.
Speaking of names, let's get right into it.
What is your name?
My name is.
You know mine. It doesn't matter what your
Win the Rock Johnson. Great job. Folks, we're gonna do 2 this week, I think. Yeah. Keep it rolling. Matt, I mean, we're gonna go first because I think you just need to set the bar and see if we can match it this week. So it's on you, buddy. Who's your rando NFL player?
I'd like to pick 2002 draft pick.
Just wait. Can we just laugh about that? Like just the build up for every pick for Matt. Like it really doesn't matter. He could say, "I'm going to pick from the AFL this week," and we all laugh.
Yeah, no, he's not from the AFL. He's from the NFL. 2002 draft pick, NFC North running back, Adrian Peterson of the Chicago Bears, who had about 1,100 yards over 106 games and 8 TDs.
That just so good.
Yeah,
I mean, what you said.
he played a few seasons, mostly special teams. It was fun to watch 2 games where he played against the other Adrian Peterson, the rich man's Adrian Peterson in this case. But yeah, never live up to that name.
I mean, imagine your Bears Adrian Peterson, and then Vikings Adrian Peterson comes to the show. What do you think your family thinks about you at that point? Like, how come you ain't him?
You wonder how many times he got mistaken for endorsements. I wonder if he ever picked up a few extra hundred grand for it, and they show up, and you're like, "You look smaller in person and worse."
I promise it's me. Maybe he just goes up. He's like, "Hey, man, let's switch it up."
And worse. Somebody says you look smaller in person, and worse.
It's like, how do you define that? I think you know.
Or what if they called the actual like AP up, and he calls like value brand AP up, and he's like, "Hey, bud, I got a deal for you. If you go down there and do this endorsement for me, Absolutely. I'll give you 50% of it." He's like just making bank off of value brand AP.
I'm reading a book called Buying Back Your Time right now, and it's about business owners getting employees or hiring contractors to do jobs that aren't as valuable. So that's exactly what you need to do. You can be there working out. It's in Chicago Bears. You're right. Great idea, Steve.
Yeah. Show up with just like your NFL hat, not like a team specific. You're like, yeah, the club, you don't even say like Bears. So there's like plausible deniability there. You're like, yeah, the club won't let me wear their gear again. So I just got a little NFL one for you. And they're like, sweet.
That's the same hat that Rob Lowe has. Like, yeah, we're friends. Steve, you're up.
Oh my gosh. I totally forgot we were doing this. So while Matt was talking, I was thinking, do I know, or can I remember any other useless running backs that really were actually good, but they just bothered me a lot because I never drafted them because their consistency was never there. But whenever I would play them, they would go off for just monster games. So my first one is Ahmed Bradshaw. Bothered the hell out of me because he was probably one of those like fringe first rounders, second rounders. People bid on him too early. I would laugh at them. He would do nothing for the most part. Well, very mediocre numbers for a guy of that stature. And then he'd play against me, and it's like, oh, Ahmad Bradshaw is going to go off for like 150 and 2 touchdowns. Cool. Yeah, that's the one they drafted. Sweet.
Yeah. So Brandon Jacobs sits out that game, so Bradshaw can play.
Oh, yeah. Brandon Jacobs. I should have paired him with Brandon Jacobs. I didn't, but man, both of those guys bothered me. One of the first ones that I could remember that were like a true running back by committee.
Yeah.
That's probably why they bothered me so much.
I never had Jacobs, but I always seem to get Bradshaw. And I was like, well, this isn't the worst. I'm still going to get 100 yards. And I'm thinking one of them's going to get the touchdowns, and they might just keep splitting them. So, you didn't have to waste the high draft pick to get him in a league. You could afford to get him a few rounds later while everyone spent on Brandon Jacobs. Good pick. Ted?
Remember James Jett, 1992? Mr. Speed Demon himself. He was one of those guys, had the fast last name, and he was fast as hell. I mean, 4,400 receiving yards, 30 TDs, tons of times with the Raiders, his whole career, actually, which is kind of cool. But I remember playing Madden back in the day, and they had this end around play that they would flip, and it was the jet sweep to James Jett. And every time you could score on that play, and I just abused that play. So I'm going to go with James Jett on this one because, man, he was a fun player back in the day.
I like that. That's a good one.
That's like forehand, backhand cheat code, right?
Might even actually, I think he was on the cover of Xbox where they released their version of the football game. I can't remember what it was called. And he was on the cover. It was like James Jett on the cover of an Xbox football game. Pretty great stuff back in like 2000, 2001, 2002.
Love it. Okay, I'm going to try this. Hopefully this works. You know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Flash Gordon.
I'm talking about the guy from the El Chargers. Lights out. Sean Merriman. Now, I was looking through this guy's stats, and would you believe over his entire career, he had, now this isn't what he was known for, but he had one pick. That's it. It's just interesting. I mean, he was doing more business sacking quarterbacks and tackles, but just interesting. You play that long, you'd think maybe a couple just randomly, especially with that Chargers team. But one pick, interesting. Also, Sean Merriman was super awesome, and he indeed was lights out because when he hit you, your lights went out.
Fun fact. Sean Merriman also on a cover of a video game, NFL Blitz.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Remember when he got blown up by Jones-Drew on the block? No? Go ahead. Go do yourself a favor and YouTube that thing. Merriman coming through, Jones-Drew picks up the blitz and absolutely annihilates him. One of the coolest size mismatches I've ever seen.
Interesting. Let's keep it going with you, Ted. Keep going.
Also from 1992, remember Herschel Walker?
Yes.
Rumor has it the guy's still playing professional sports somewhere. I'm not sure what it is. Could be a pro fighter.
He's on The Apprentice.
He could be. Yeah, he was on The Apprentice.
True story.
Thank God that's not a thing anymore. Wrapped up with like 8,225 yards. Spent time with Dallas, Minnesota, Philadelphia, the Giants, and then wrapped up with Dallas. So I don't even remember the stat, but there was a crazy haul of draft picks that were dealt for that guy back in the day when he was coming out of Dallas. I don't know the whole story. Great player, legend, bit of a physical freak. I think he's still doing it at his age. Like I said, playing professional sports somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, Herschel Walker would be my guy. More
like Herschel Runner, huh?
Wasn't it like 14 draft picks or something?
It was something crazy.
Yeah, because it was Minnesota.
Wow. That's bonkers.
Yeah, because anytime you, or at least maybe I like to use this term, if there's a guy that I don't want to trade away, like my whole philosophy is like everybody has a price. Like anybody on my team, you can trade for them. But if you want like a Justin Jefferson, you are going to have to give me a Herschel Walker type deal for that. Meaning like I want your entire draft class plus a whole bunch more. Like you need to lose this draft by a landslide to get this guy from me.
And everyone needs to know it.
If you want him, I don't want to trade him. I'm not making hey, that's a fair trade. Great, it's a fair trade, but I'm doing you the favor by moving you the player. Pay up for the man.
Yeah, pay the piper. Absolutely. Steve, go for it.
My other running back also did a lot of committee things, so you can kind of see where my head was going as you guys were talking. Running backs that I hated playing against because they seemed to go off. Javid Best.
Ooh, wow.
Always seemed to get his dual touchdown game whenever I was playing against him. He might have even popped off for 100 yards, but you could kind of always count on him to screw your fantasy football week up. And yeah, I never remember owning Javid Best, maybe once. Because I sort of get this in my head that when I lose to a guy and I shouldn't lose to that guy, like they really freaking bother me. So there's a couple players I just would never draft, and Javid Best was the other one I could think of with Ahmad Bradshaw.
So
He was one of my picks.
I have Javid Best was the guy I was going to take instead of Herschel Walker in this thing. It's a complete fluke, and I'll explain to you when we do our themes on this one why he was actually going to be the guy I was going to take.
Oh, you were going to pick
So
him?
I was going to take Javid Best. I don't know the last time anybody said Javid Best's name, but you and I were going to take him on the same night, so it's crazy.
So am I going to ruin the fun fact about him, the dinner party fact about Javid Best?
Maybe.
That his NFL career didn't quite work out, but he did race in the 2016 Olympics. Or was it 2016?
Yeah, I think
2016, and in the 100, and he became a track star, which he was known for. Just didn't get a lot of. He didn't make himself that open to be a track star in the NFL as much as we would have liked. But he didn't have to run through people on the actual track in the Olympics. Probably why he did so well over there. Didn't advance or anything, but he's pretty fast. Matt.
2019 second round draft pick. He won the Chuck Bednarik Award, the Lott Trophy, the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, and Jack Lambert Trophy, and was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars as a defensive end. Josh Allen. He isn't quite as random as some of the old names, but I think you might know the theme.
You know what? I really thought you were going to go.
Just
Lamar
random.
Jackson on that one.
I'm sorry?
I said I thought I knew what the theme was right away, and I was like, he's gonna pick Lamar Jackson, the cornerback.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that one's real nice.
I thought you were just gonna go back to back Adrian Petersons.
That would have been funny.
Remember Adrian Peterson, guys?
Yeah.
You could switch it up.
So that's it.
Anybody.
That's my whole story.
That's good. That's good. I like what you're doing there. So I'm sticking with what I was doing over there. Now he might have one of the greatest. Where am I here? Apparently my screen's freezing. He might have one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. If you've ever seen a big dude run this far, who looks absolutely gassed halfway through his run.
Mm-hmm.
And then falls in the end zone, and I'm pretty sure they gave him oxygen after this play. Could have died and come back to life. Anybody that saw that Super Bowl, also if you saw the local version of the Super Bowl in Arizona, you were in for a treat that day. Those who know. I'm talking about James Harrison. This guy, now everybody, well, just two of you actually, really didn't like this fella for a while. 2-time Super Bowl champion, first team All-Pro, lots of Pro Bowls, 84.5 sacks, 793 tackles, predominantly a Pittsburgh Steeler. I didn't know he played for the Bengals. But that dude he was one of those guys, like his workout, whenever they'd have like him working out or something, he'd have he'd basically have like the weights hanging around like a freaking big chain, or like he just looked like a mean dude. And he was mean on the field, but what an athlete. Like it was a pick and a fumble, or can't remember exactly how that, or did he pick it and then run it? I can't
picked it off the 99 and just ran it all the way back.
Yeah. And just like he basically fell into the end zone. I think they like IV'd and oxygened him after that play. But I mean, seeing that play in real time, especially on the Super Bowl, I still remember that play. Well, apparently not well enough because I can't remember if it was a pick or not. But what a play, and absolute beast, James Harrison. And I'm sure the Browns and Ravens were more than happy to see that guy leave the division at some point.
You know what? In the middle of the rival, of course, like everyone's happy when the Ben Roethlisbergers, the James Harrisons, the Troy Polamalos, they all leave, right? But when you look back on it, it was those mean dudes that made those Ravens Steelers games. Like you had Hines Ward and Ed Reed going back and forth. You had Suggs on one side, you had Harrison on the other. Like it was just mean, mega talented, nasty competitive individuals who genuinely didn't like each other but had like the highest utmost respect for each other. I don't know that we're ever going to see another rivalry quite like that. Like even think about the way the rules have changed. You just can't get away with some of the things they did.
No, it was way more violent.
Yeah, like it was just so violent, so mean. But it was, man, what a
And then
time.
I think the best part, like the regular season matchups were awesome, but when they played each other in the playoffs, like that was special. Like that was, I always remembered, like I didn't even care what was going on that day when that game was on. Like, no, Ravens are playing Steelers. I have to see this game. I'm not even a fan of either team. I know this game is about to go off the chain. And it always did, almost every single time.
Almost always within 3 points too. It was just, I lost so many years of my life watching that rivalry in that time period. It was great and it was horrible all at the same time.
It was like from the outside looking in and still being in the division, it was crazy to see like how evenly those teams were matched, right? Yeah. Like Reed for Polamalu, right? I mean, you could, whether it was Lewis or whoever that was starting for the Ravens, there was always like an equally talented Steelers running back that was coming up that year. And Lewis and Harrison, like it was just, it really was like crazy how evenly matched those teams were, right down to like Roethlisberger, Flacco. Like both were just like hard nailed defensive teams that could punch you in the mouth, but also counterattack on O. And it was cool to watch from the outside.
All right, you get to watch a 3-game series. Do you take those years between those two teams, or early 2000s Colorado, Detroit?
I might take Colorado, Detroit, honestly,
because those are equally mean. Like they're so similar in terms of respecting each other, both being pretty dominant teams in the league for a number of years, having Hall of Famers everywhere.
Goalie fights.
That's a really good comp, like a really good comp for cross sports people who are watching. Like, yeah, it's insane. It was insane.
I can't seem to find the link for that Super Bowl cut in after. That was the Larry Fitzgerald touchdown where that happened. Again, anybody that knows.
Ravens, Steelers, Avs, Red Wings, Pistons, Bulls. We talk about a physical sport or physical series or physical rivalries between teams in different leagues like that. Those are the ones that all match up.
That would be a good 30 for 30, but it'd probably be all over the place. But it'd be interesting to talk about, just to get guys from all the sports that are still live anyway, and talk about that. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool.
What was your theme, Ryan?
My theme? Just linebackers.
Oh, just backers.
Yeah. The scary ones.
And Steve, yours was, again, it was guys who just used to beat your ass in fantasy football. You never ever had them.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like the average guy who used to
it's
beat
like
your
kind
ass.
of sad. It's kind of
the guy who had no business beating your ass.
Look, sometimes you forget to prep for the show and someone says the name of the segment and you're like, oh man, I gotta pull a rabbit out of my hat. And sometimes
that's good though.
It's like, who used to beat my ass in fantasy football? Okay, those two guys will work.
That's good. Matt, obviously yours was players that are also named Adrian Peterson and Josh Allen.
No, they were actually former SEC players. Sorry.
Oh. What happened there?
You're way off.
Samsonite.
Oh,
Great.
My thing, and Ryan, you called it earlier, Java best Olympic athlete. James Jett, Olympic athlete, 4x100 meter gold medalist.
Oh,
Herschel Walker, Olympic athlete, bobsled team.
No kidding.
Wow.
Interesting. I like that. Wow. This is already overshadowing the other good segment we have, which is called THNO Stars. This is where we talk about people that screwed us in the past week, the points. So Ted, you can go first. You've got a semi-good one.
Okay. I'm going to go with Kyle Juszczyk. Annual mention in the THNO segment. Kyle was up to his old tricks again in Thursday's tilt versus the Seahawks with Mason already out of the game. The rookie burner, Isaac Guerrero, in for cleanup. The rookie ripped off a 76-yard run only to have it vultured by the fullback in true Thanos style. 2 plays later, he banged it in. The big fullback always does a little to contribute each week, but is always 0 owned and 0 started. So this, my friends, is a true Thanos. So not only did he vulture, anybody who started Mason missed out on this, but anybody who he Thanoed who would have been a Thano in Guarendo. So I don't know. That's a double Thano.
Dude, that guy is going to be on this show at some point this season. I'm waiting for it. And he almost made it last week. So it's coming. Just so everybody knows, Grendo, he's going to be on this show at some point. I'm going to roll the clip.
Oh, he's going to his wife.
Check.
Here he's going to
That'll seal the deal.
Where is she? Where is she?
One more
Where
time. And this time Samuel joins the party. Kittle as well.
That was my favorite part. This time Samuel joins the party. That's a beauty.
And yet we do wonder. Steve, I didn't load up the clip the way I wanted to, but I do have your clip.
That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
Fun fact about Kyle Juszczyk, obviously former Baltimore Raven. In his last, including this season, 5 seasons, he has a total of now 5 touchdowns. Only one of those seasons he did not score a touchdown. So in his position rank, even though he's technically listed as a running back because he's technically a fullback, he has been the number 1 fullback since 2018 in fantasy football. In PPR leagues, he's been the number 1 fantasy football fullback since 2015.
No kidding.
It would be kind of fun. Like, I started the year off talking about like really weird rules or fun ways to shake your league up. It would be kind of hilarious to have a fullback slot available. So it's like you could start one, like maybe you don't get penalized for not starting it because it's not like the old years. But maybe if you were to draft one of those guys and you bite on them early, you get to start an extra player every single week. It would I don't know.
I don't think you can start. There's no fullback like option.
No, well, you're stupid then.
Well, yeah, I'm the one that makes these apps. That's why I'm on this show.
You're the commissioner of the league. Anyways.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Thanks for bringing on that fun party.
So speaking of following along, who is your Thano this week? On all of a sudden.
Ryan is really upset about this one, but Bub Means. Bub? I have never met or heard of a person named Bud, but this seems to be like the Thanoiest Thano that ever Thanoed. I didn't even realize that people still name their kids Bub, but apparently people do. I'm kind of wondering.
Like you said, still, like you even knew in the first place.
Well, like maybe back in like the 40s or 50s, you just called somebody Bub and then it just became like their first name.
I mean, Wolverine says it all the time. Bub.
Yeah.
Did you guys, I was just blocked out for a little bit. Did you guys see the blocked field goal or the blocked kick in New York over the Seahawks?
Continue.
Did anybody see this? No. So the kick was blocked, and there's like this circumvention of the rule that New York did. So basically, at the snap of the ball, the 2 defensive linemen pushed down on the heads.
Did see this. Yeah. Sorry,
the guard in the center, and then
last week.
Simmons hurdled and then blocked the kick. It was pushed off to the side, picked up, returned for a touchdown, which was wild. So I don't know if that's something that like everybody can do now. You can just push the guard in the center into the ground and you can just jump over dudes now. So I don't know if the NFL has to fix that rule or if that's going to be a thing moving forward, but
you're not allowed to hurdle the line.
You are allowed to hurdle line as long as you don't take it. You are, as long as you don't take a running start.
Touch them.
So what they did is they pushed the guy down and then Simmons one jump over them, blocked the kick. So they have to work that rule out.
I mean, if it happens again, I think, yeah. But most of the time, like how many guys can actually just do that in the first place? Like hurdle the line?
Probably a few.
Garrett did it last year and then Simmons this year. So that's
I mean, Polamalu's done it a few times, but different dude. Sorry, Steve. Who was your?
Anyways, my THNO is Bub Means. Roll the clip.
2 picks today. Rattler with the fake, the pump, the throw for the lead, a touchdown. It's the first for Bub Means in the NFL. And the Saints have marched back to take a lead.
Let's take a look here. Bub Means, let's take a look. Right, let's see toe tag. You got to imagine he's going to toe tap that left one, kick up the kick up the black pellets. There you go. That's as clean as it gets. Chris Olave.
There was so many THNOs in that picture.
Oh my goodness. I was kind of thinking to myself, I think, was it last year was Rashid Shaheed's rookie year, whatever. Yeah. And I'd never heard of him. I'm not a big Saints guy. I don't really follow their random rookies, but now Shaheed is kind of like one of those guys where he's a viable flex, wide receiver play in most fantasy leagues. Maybe, just maybe I'm onto something here. Bub Means could be your next mainstay New Orleans Saints wide receiver in fantasy football. I'm calling it right now.
What does it even means?
What does it even mean, bro?
I love it. I'm going to go here. So with Rashad White out, which sucked for me personally, they had a little bit of depth. Little did I know the guy with 15 career rushing attempts would go off, and I mean off, for 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 56 yards receiving. He had 38% snap share, which makes his 31 fantasy points all the more stunning. He helped no one except the actual Bucks. It's like Miracle on 34th Street. He's going to disappear into the night after this game. I'm talking about Sean Tucker. If you saw what this guy put up, it was unbelievable. 38% snap share, and he has like one of the weeks so far of the season. The dude wasn't even on the field enough to get that many points, and yet he blew up. So anyway, here's a clip.
Be a 54-yard field goal from here. Mayfield is going to get yardage and a first down to Sean Tucker. Inside the 15 and all the way to the house. It's a touchdown. The first of Sean Tucker's NFL career.
Bonkers.
Looks smooth.
Bonkers. Like, what? I mean, now there's talk about Bucky Irving getting like ousted because, depending on what happens with White. Like, now all of a sudden they've got like 3 guys that they need to talk about in the backfield in Tampa. I didn't imagine Sean Tucker must die was going to be one of them.
You know what? Sean Tucker in, let's say 15 years from now is going to show up on my segment of Remember That Name, of running backs that were part of a committee that annoyed me because they were doing nothing and then I play against them and they go off for 202 touchdowns on 38% snap share. Like, that's like bonkers, pretty much right? It's like, I looked, if the guy's in the game, it's going to him, guys. Every time this guy has been in the game, they've given him the ball. No, he can't be. We haven't seen him that much. I know, but literally every time he's in the game, they give him the damn ball. Like, go after him. Nah,
he had more time to drink Gatorade than he had time to play.
Do it again. It's like they won't pick rock again on the first try. Oh, darn, I picked scissors again. Oh, well, they're not going to pick rock again. And then like 30 times later of losing rock, paper, scissors, you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah, just insane. Like, as a stat line, that is definitely one of the more impressive stat lines. Like 38% should blow your mind. Anyway, Matt, who you got?
Previously mentioned former Troy Trojan, an current all-name 2024 team, Kamani Vidal.
Session.
It's a pretty dope name. 11 points from a third, fourth string running back shouldn't happen. 6th-round pick did take advantage of his 6 touches, and may end up on sneaky ads at some point. But not only vulturing 1 touchdown, but getting another 5 touches on top of that is taking away from everybody else.
I'm going to roll the clip now.
Averaging just 22 pass attempts per game. This is his 11th pass of the first quarter, and he's got an open man on the wheel route. It's the rookie Kamani Vidal, his first NFL touch.
Those jerseys, they're dope. Grade A.
Fire.
Grade A. I love it. And great play.
I'll never forget the day that Ryan turned down a trip to go to a San Diego Chargers game because he wanted to go to Prince George, and I'll forever be thankful for that.
Fort St. John.
Fort St. John's. So I'll forever be thankful for that opportunity and your trips throughout Canada that were very important through you. So thank you very much.
And you know what? And how does he repay me for this? He hits me in the face with a garbage can full of water coming out of a water slide.
That happened before.
Regardless, how did you set up the gift of all gifts? And I still did. That's friendship. Just gonna say that.
So in fairness, I mean, I can twist this story too. I hit him in the face with a garbage can because he came out of the pool like a beached whale wearing a Borat bathing suit. So
that was later. Come on. I would actually like to know if that's what I was wearing. But anyway, sneaky starts. Ted, who's your sneaky start for this week?
I'm going to Mario Douglas. Drake May had his struggles getting knocked around a bit, but believe it or not, he actually looked pretty competent in his debut as a starter. This obviously coincided with Douglas's best game of the season, 92 yards and a TD. But this wasn't just some random event because he's been controlling 22% of the target share. He's averaging almost 60 yards per game. So he was due. This is a starting wide receiver 3 this week. So he's in a cake match with Jacksonville. And if I were you, I would get him in your lineup. He's only owned in 14% of leagues, and he's only being started 3. So if you got a WR3 spot in your league or a flex, and it fits a wide receiver, this is your guy.
Jacksonville sucks now. So yeah, that's a good play. Steve?
Mine is not as sneaky as some of the past. Not really sneaky pretty much at all. But this one I wanted to put on here because of, based on the volumes of what Josh Downs is doing versus the lack of fantasy managers who are actually starting him. I can't remember what he's 68% owned, but only 36% started. 36% started is not enough for this guy. Like, I would love to have this guy on all of my teams. I would start him on every single one of my teams. In the last 3 weeks, he has 9 targets, 12 targets, 9 targets. He's a lock to start every single week, at the very worst in one of your flex spots. So again, Josh Downs, not sneaky. It's not like, very under the radar, but man, if you have this kid, just start him. I don't know how much more of a track record a guy needs than like getting a ridiculous amount of targets, putting up points in 3 consecutive weeks. And then obviously there's still, almost a third of sleeper leagues who, aren't even picking him up. Like, are these 6-team leagues? Are they 8-team leagues? Like, what are we talking about here?
He's doing me just nice.
Start him. Like, he should be over 70% started in every single league. So not a sneaky start as we would traditionally define them, but I was just looking at some start percentages and I was like, what? Josh Downs only 36%. Get him in your lineup, start him.
Yeah, you like Ryan. Make smart choices. Matt?
I had to make up for my last 2 sneaky starts, one of which was a first-round draft pick. Sorry, first overall draft pick. And he was THNO star from Steve today. I looked him up, and his name actually is Rubber, and they just call him Bub.
You're kidding.
Yeah, go look it up. The Saints are number 4 scoring team in the NFL. They're averaging 28 points a game, which seems weird because, like, who's throwing the ball? But they just continue doing it. That catch he made in the end zone was a skill catch, getting those toes down.
His name's Jared. Don't lie.
It's actually Gerard. But I think with Olave potentially out this week and them just continuing to move the ball up their scoring opportunities, if you are in a deep league and you want another 2024 all-name player, I would 100% go with Rubber Bub Means.
I hope you're just sticking with this now. Rubber Bub. If he scores, not only is Matt going to look like a genius for this start, but I'm already calling him as my back-to-back THNO. So don't even think about it, boys.
I mean, if he's mentioned twice and you're saying to start him, and then he can't be.
He won't be a THNO at that point.
We could have rules for this.
Yes, he will. If he scores this week, there is no way. Okay, the only way he's going to show up on the start statistics at all is if Matt picks him up right now, starts him, and they just happen to round up from 0.0000001% of people starting.
Google search rubber means.
So what are we putting the over/under at his start percentage next week? 2%.
1%.
No,
1%.
He even gets to 2%.
1%'s a lot.
Okay.
1% is a lot. There's no way anyone, like 2% of the people, are not picking up rubber means. And Matt, you should be very careful when you are Googling rubber means.
I mean, if you think about the old Nokia phones, 1% lasts for days. So
whatever you have to tell your wife.
Yeah, 1% is a lot. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about Ray Davis. 16% owned, 2% started. James Cook was out on Monday Night Football, which sucked for me because I wasn't able to change that as I was driving for 8 hours. And Ray Davis, the next Davis to debut in the show, because we've had a bunch of the Davises on the show, was lights out, which is convenient because Sean Merriman also was lights out. He didn't score, but he was making plays, and Josh Allen loved him. He has the Titans this week, and if Cook is even remotely used with the toe injury, Davis could step up. I like this one. So anybody that watched the game yesterday noticed that, Ray Davis was used a lot. And actually, did he score? Because I wrote this when he hadn't at that point. So he would be worth, he'd be worth adding. He'd be worth starting. Obviously, you'd have to do both for that to happen. But it's one of those guys, I think, especially after the Amari Cooper ad today, I do like what that offense could be in the next couple weeks. And I think, again, sucks having James Cook and him being out, but Ray Davis is a nice little play this week. And might as well feast on the Tennessee Titans. You know what I'm saying? Feast, like Thanksgiving in Canada. Let's get into sleepy ads. Matthew.
The newest Minnesota Viking, Cameron Akers.
Nice.
Aaron Jones.
You actually have him in there. That's crazy.
Yeah. Aaron Jones has had some injury problems in his career, and a hip is kind of one of those ones where you're like, see those guys get hip, get ankles, get groin, and those can be tricky to deal with.
Oh my gosh. Kyron Williams just got traded to the Vikings. Don't worry about Cam Akers anymore. It's a joke. It was funny in the moment. Keep going.
Yeah, for one of us.
That's all.
That's my whole story. Somebody else can go.
Oh, sorry, Matt. That was rude.
For one of us.
Guys, I'm trying. Sorry, Matt.
It's okay. Teddy, go ahead.
Quick, fill this space.
That's the coast.
This is a sleepy ad that could very well be a sleepy start this week, depending on how deep your start spots are. But I'm going back to Isaac Guerrero again. Obviously, CMC's out. We don't know for how long. Mason's been in there. He's playing really well. He's banged up this week. I don't think he played two. I think he had 2 touches in the entire second half of the game. Guerrero is like sorry, what? MCC is still out. Yes. Thanks, Ryan.
I'm so glad you picked up on that too. I was reading. So what is he talking about?
Had a couple of touches. Like, I think one cut offense. The guy's got big speed. He's 220 pounds. That's all the Niners do is seem to turn out running backs. Everybody seems to plug into that system really well. I think they're going to take it easy and be cautious with Mason. So I would expect some work for Guerrero this week coming up. So if you get stuck in a spot, you can probably get in and start him. But this is the guy. I know that you're not going to have him on your roster forever, but if he's your temporary handcuffs to your handcuffs, then you kind of got to have him on your roster. So sneaky ad this week. Isaac Guerrero, San Francisco 49ers, 5% owned, 1% started.
Man, he is going to, like I said, he's going to be on the show. It's coming. They've been using him a ton, and I'm just waiting. Like, he's going to be he's probably going to be a start depending on how long CMC's or MCC's out. So
Did I say MCC?
you wrote MCC.
MCL.
That's true. ACL, LCL, alphabet soup. I'm going to go.
He's the Timu version, yeah.
He's the Timo version. Tyrone Tracy.
Hey, Ryan, the Giants just got Karen Williams.
It's not
Did
as
you hear
funny.
that?
It's not as funny.
It's pretty funny.
I disagree.
Okay, it's a little bit funny.
It's really damn funny.
You got 4 laughs, so that's good. Yeah, I said the Giants suck this season. You can't trust Daniel Jones, but I can trust their run game. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 56% owned, but 36% started, has had back-to-back weeks of 13 plus points. His snap share is increasing by 20% per game. Things are rising on the Giants. And he's eating up chunks of the field at a time. He's not Ahmad Bradshaw or Brandon Jacobs, but he's definitely worth an ad. It's so funny. Or Javid Best. It's funny that you would mention Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs, as I also had them mentioned in my sleepy ad yet a day ago, maybe longer. So, well played.
I haven't looked at that since I created the document last Thursday, I don't think.
I remember when I saw that on my dinosaur. Go ahead, Steve.
Sweet. And anyone needing to interrupt before I go?
No, I'm good. Wait. What team is he picking? Sorry. Just wait. Let me check. No, I don't think he's going there. He's fine.
My sleepy ad is Damian Pierce. He is only owned in 16% of leagues. Obviously, they have Joe Mixon there. Against the Patriots, he went in for just 27% of the snap share. He's been dealing with a bit of an injury rate from week 1. He managed to put up 76 yards and a touchdown on just 8 carries. So super efficient. Only 24 years old. It was just only, a few years ago where people were drafting him in rookie leagues as first overall picks because he has the potential. Mixon's getting a little, long in the tooth, could be dealing with some injuries. Damian Pierce is a great pickup. They've got some really good matchups pretty much right until their bye. They've got about 4 super gravy matchups, 3 fairly difficult matchups. But if anything happens to Mixon, I want the stock in Pierce because he can be an instant bell cow for you. So pick him up. It's worth the risk that you're going to get out of him. It's a lotto ticket, but sometimes they pan out.
Yeah, he's a boomer bust this season.
Didn't he basically win people their fantasy leagues 2 years ago?
In his rookie year.
He was just his last 6 games, he averaged something stupid like 22 points a game or something like that.
Yeah, I remember. I
Did
think
he hurt maybe.
Yeah, he's definitely battled injury histories himself, but he's got all the talent to be super productive. It's just whether he's going to get the opportunity again and whether he can stay healthy once he gets that opportunity, if he does.
Bit of a theme here, heading Evan. It's probably time that you should at least begin the process of starting to shore up your running back depth, whether it's through handcuffs or just getting your guys who could fall into starter positions for the next 4 weeks. Probably what your ad drops should be focused on if you have space. But anybody who rolls into playoffs without solidified depth is going to be screwed at the point of an injury. So start picking those guys up now. And this is one of those guys for sure.
So
and if you're a team in 2 of my 3 leagues, I had 2 picks in both leagues in the first 5 rounds. I knew I wasn't going to be any sort of competitive. I've got some good keepers who can keep me, alive in weeks. It's a great strategy to just go grab people's handcuffs because let's say you had Mason. Well, people were, the CMC owners were begging you for him, or else you have a number 1 running back. Great trade bait. And then those people who, were Jordan Mason owners and they didn't have the handcuffs like the Garendos, you definitely want to make sure that you have that guy, right? So pick up handcuffs, pick up guys that could be starters. Cam Akers, we talked about on this show. Guys who are young, guys who have been the starter before, I think are always worth the risk unless your name is Trent Richardson. And that takes, that hurts.
Yeah, that does hurt. There's so we're seeing a few of these, like we've talked about today, like Tracy was one of them. I'll outbid both of you guys. There's a few other running backs that are out there. Like, is there anybody that has kind of had their big kind of one-off week so far that you would say is going to stick and at least be relevant for the rest of the season that you'd be worth like trading a draft pick for? Like, is there anybody that stands out? Like somebody on that lower tier that maybe had one game and you're like, actually, okay, not Kareem Hunt.
Well, what's your
no, somebody new. Kareem Hunt definitely could do that. I think that's not obvious. I'm not going to say that, but yeah, Kareem Hunt could probably blow up and be
like some rookie that's had their breakout game.
I would say like a rookie or a not Mickle. You never know.
It'd be like Tank Bigsby would be a guy that I would want to hang on to right now.
Okay.
Again, a hip thing. We don't really know what's going on there. I'm not sure about Etienne even when he was healthy right now. So Bixby would be a guy that I like. Your sleepy start to start this week off would be another one that would be pretty solid as well. It looks like he's going to keep getting the ball in New York. Like, there's a couple of guys out there. Later in the season, we talked about Alexander Madison is a guy who could continue to put up solid numbers for you down the road. There's nothing else going on in Las Vegas, so that could be a solid pickup down the road for you too. But these kind of guys are like found money for you, especially if you have starters that are in there right now working for your team, right? So if they're on your team and you're not using them, they're good backups for you, but they're also not starting for anybody else. So it's kind of a bonus like that.
But as a pickup, I'm thinking like I said, we're going into week 7, so things are starting. I mean, a lot of stuff's not evened out, but you're kind of seeing where your leagues are sitting right now. And, if there's no moves being made, like maybe go and shore up one of these guys. Like who
could be a really underrated pick, and he hasn't done a lot this year, but he's shown he can be like the number one and he can be mega productive as Tyler Algier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That guy should be on everybody's roster. Like that guy should be owned in every league.
Yeah, and he's only owned in 40% of sleeper leagues, which seems super surprising to me. What I like about the Falcons' last little bit of their season is they have 2 teams on the roster that are really stout against running backs. Everybody else pretty much is just giving points away to running backs. So maybe, I know we talked about it last week where it's like, do you save the legs of a guy like Bijan to go into a playoff run? So maybe are they going to give Algier, he's getting about 35 to 40% of the snap share. Do you kind of even that out a little bit more to 50-50 just to play the long game with Bijan? And if they don't and Bijan gets hurt, Algier is an instant number one against gravy matchups, and he's shown he can do it before. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sneaky one might be Braylon Allen.
Yeah,
another guy who's got a. I mean, I could consider them in similar circumstances as to what Breece Hall, and you're looking at a bell cow guy who could possibly be nicked up a little bit and a solid backup, right? That's kind of what you're looking for when you're targeting these players.
Yeah. Nice stuff. Boys, that pretty much does it for this week. We got through a whole show. We talked about everything, and we actually talked about football right from the get-go this week. So we're really improving.
Right from the get-go?
From the get-go, yeah. Geico. We could say 15% or more on our fantasy dollars. This has been a lot of fun. So, folks, this has been another amazing episode of That Helps No One FantasyCast on the Area 51 Sports Network. You can find us exclusively here, unless someone pays us more money. Then let's be honest. I think they'd probably say the same thing. Like, someone's going to pay you guys money.
You should go.
Right. They're just throwing out like random threats unless
just in case. Like, do you have any suitors? We do not. So just putting that sponsors. You want to come on this hilarious show? Let us know. On behalf of Smokey Joe up there, Matt, we got Teddy Wong, and we got Sicky down there. I'm Ryan. This is That Helps No One Fantasy Cast on Area 51 Sports Network. We're going into week 7. Feels weird to say, but it's true. Good luck this week. Peace out.